Hey guys, Jacob Ober here. Welcome to my second episode of BrewTalk, the first one being on opening day. I thought I'd wait until we actually had a full week of Brewers baseball before doing my BrewTalk episode, so here it is. So the Milwaukee Brewers, they are off to a 5-5 start, a 500 start. They swept the Padres to open their season in San Diego. Then they came home for a 7-game homestand in which they went 2-5 on. And there's been a lot of interesting reactions out there to this Brewers start. It's been pretty up and down so far. Now, I'll admit, there are a lot of concerns early with the Brewers here. For one, their infield defense has been very, very poor. In the Cubs series alone, they had as many errors as they had runs scored. And that's not something that you want to do if you're a team that wants to compete. But then again, we are 10 games in. So the Brewers, they came home. They faced the St. Louis Cardinals in the first series. They dropped 2 of 3 in that series. Their lone win coming on a last at-bat victory where they hit back-to-back home runs to win the game when they were down 4-3 to win the game 5-4. Yelich hit the tying home run. Braun hit the winning home run. It was one of the more amazing moments I can remember in recent Brewers history, that's for sure. And definitely a game that's going to be remembered for a long time, no matter how the season turns out. One of the most amazing victories the Brewers have had in a while. So, the second win they had was another walk-off victory against the Cubs on Friday night to even the series at 1-1. Orlando Arcia hit a walk-off base hit with the runners at the corners and 1 out to win the game. Unfortunately, the Brewers the next day, they blew a 2-1 lead in the top of the ninth, where the Cubs scored 4 runs and took the lead and ended up winning the game 5-2. It was a very, very frustrating loss, probably the most frustrating loss of the entire homestand. And at the end of all of it, the Brewers are 5-5. So, like I said, there's been a lot of really interesting reactions. Now, for one, the Brewers, their defense has been bad, their pitching has been suspect at times, and their offense has been unable to even get anything going. They've gotten shut out twice. There's a continued reliance on the home run ball early on. But at the end of all of it, the Brewers are 5-5, and they're going to be just fine. Just hold your reactions for now. There's a lot of people out there thinking that the Brewers are in for a long season, and trust me, they're not in for a long season. The Brewers are going to be just fine, and to prove that to you, I'm going to give you the records of some of the top competing teams this year right now. So the Yankees are 5-5 right now. The St. Louis Cardinals are 4-5. The Los Angeles Dodgers, who many expect to win the World Series this year, are 3-6. The Nationals, who also are expected to compete for a World Series this year, are 4-5. The Rockies are 5-5, expected to be a wild card this year. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are 7-2 and on top of the NL Central. You tell me if you think that's going to last. It's not. The Brewers are playing kind of bad at times baseball right now. Overall, they're playing 500 baseball. It's nothing to get worried about. It's nothing to shake your fist at. Sure, you can get frustrated, and sure, it hurts more that it's coming against division rivals, but the fact remains that we have, 152 games left in this season? You guys, that's like 2%. We've played like 2% of the season so far. You can't base anything off of that. Now, sure, there are places where the Brewers could definitely clean up, and they could very well be over 500 had they not blown that one game on Saturday. But the fact of the matter remains that the Brewers have a long ways to go in this season. And for one, they haven't had Yelich the entire Cubs series, so that's a pretty big impact on your offense to start. Yes, they've been unable to get a lot of things going. They've been unable to hit with runners in scoring position, but I assure you that that will come with time. We are still in April. We are not even halfway through April, and people are already saying that this season is a lost cause. No, it's not. Baseball is such a weird game in the way that you can lose games, you can have bad stretches, and you can be a good team. Usually the World Series winner every year has a stretch where they play terrible baseball. It happens almost every single year. I'm sure the Astros had like a 5-game losing streak at one point last year. I wonder how people thought of that back then. And you're going to react like this to a 5-5 start? The Brewers are not even below 500, and people are already saying the season's lost. I've seen so many people on social media going, "Oh, the Brewers are dumb. They didn't get no pitching, so they're gonna go like under 500 this year. They're gonna suck just like every other Brewer year." No, they're not. This is the best Brewers team we've had since 2011. I can guarantee you that the Brewers are gonna have a winning record when this season's all said and done. Will they make the playoffs? We don't know that, but the fact of the matter remains, even if the Brewers don't make the playoffs this year, which I really hope they do, because this is the most excitement we've had in the Brewers franchise in a very long time. But the fact of the matter remains, whether or not we make the playoffs this year, our franchise is still on a steady rebuild and a steady course to ultimately achieve its goal. The Brewers window is opening this year, maybe. It's like right on the edge. Like, it's either this year or next year that the Brewers are going to make the playoffs. I can assure you that. If they don't make it this year, they will make it next year. But really, I mean, just save the overreactions for once. I mean, you remember the 2011 Brewers team? They didn't even get over 500 until May. And that team finished 30 games over 500. So how in the world can you base anything off of a 5-5 start? The Pittsburgh Pirates are 7-2 and leading the NL Central. You really think the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to end up winning the NL Central? No, they're not. They're not even going to come close. I bet you that they finished somewhere between 20 and 30 games under 500 this year. So just save all of your overreactions for when it's actually time to react. It's not time to react. You don't even have a good idea of what your baseball team is going to be like until summer hits, and we're not even close to that. So just calm down for once. Yes, the Brewers are in a little bit of a tough stretch right now. They've lost 3 of 5, or 5 of 7, never mind. But the fact of the matter remains, we have such a long season to go. And the overreactions, the early armchair managers, just shut your mouths until it's actually time to worry about the Brewers. And I don't even think that time is going to come. I think the Brewers are going to have a very good season this year. I think they might even win 90 games this year. And who knows, they might even make the playoffs and win a series and win a wild card game, maybe even make it to the World Series. We never know. It's baseball. Baseball is by far the most unpredictable sport out there, and a 5-5 start has literally no bearing on the rest of the season. So that's all. That's my thoughts on it. And it was a pretty disappointing homestand. I'll give you that, and it does need to improve. But let me tell you, the Brewers have a lot of time to improve, and I guarantee you that they will get it together. So anyways, that's all I have to say in this BrewTalk episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Oversports41512, and I'll see you guys next time.